Hi, Jenny. Welcome. I'm glad
Hey,
you can meet with me today.
me too. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, of course. So we'll start with a few questions, if you're okay with that.
Yep.
So, can you tell me about a time where you were in a high stress situation involving teaching or coaching?
Oh, probably have a couple. Probably the most stressful situation that I've ever been was while I was coaching. We were at a school district for a playoff game, and we won the game. And we were leaving with all of our athletes, and we were blocked by several students from that district, and we couldn't leave, and they were throwing rocks at our windows and
Oh,
trying to
wow.
trying to shake the bus. And so kind of had to handle that situation. That was, I felt like, more of a situation than normally as a coach you handle, but um,
Right.
just called the police, and we just kind of wrote it out until they got there, and then we were escorted from the district. So that's probably one of the highest stress situations that I've ever been in, but it ended well, thankfully.
Well, that's good. That is a very stressful situation, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was.
So, can you describe a time when changes to your class schedule happened that you couldn't control, and how did you react to that situation?
Definitely. There was a couple times last year that we had some bad weather days. Um, and when you have a bad weather day, you can't schedule for that. And so um, we had a late start on one day, and then one day just we totally didn't come in. So on late start days, you just have to adjust with the classes that you do get to have. They're shorter, and then also you have to keep in mind, the students that you didn't have in your class. So you kind of have to just completely adjust what you have scheduled for the week. And as far as it goes for handling it, you just kind of have to go with it. It's nothing that can be controlled. It's completely out of your control. It's out of the district's control. So you just adapt and make the most of it.
So, can you describe a time when a fellow teacher made a mistake and you discovered it, and what did you do about it?
Uh, Personally, I can't recall a time where I have experienced that. Um, I can speak on how I would handle it if you'd like me to. Personally, I think I would give that teacher or coach the opportunity to, I guess, have that right correct or that wrong corrected by going to them first personally. But then if it wasn't, um, I guess it wasn't accepted, or it was just kind of like pushed off, then I would have to take it up with the higher authority.
Absolutely.
That's how I would handle it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you talk about a time when you dealt with an upset or angry parent? What did you do? Is there anything that you would have done different?
As a coach, I have handled this situation plenty of times. Yes, um, there's with coaching and just teaching also, but there comes into the question of when parents want to know why their child isn't receiving as much play as other children, and things like that. So I've handled that situation quite a bit, and I think you just kind of have to listen. You have to hear them out. Even if you feel like they're completely wrong, you still have to listen to everything they have to say. You have to validate how they feel, and tell them that you completely understand, but then explain to them what the school's policy is, and what your coaching policy is, and what your team rules are, and that your team knows how playing time works, and just listen to them and not escalate the situation. You can't get angry back. You just have to be calm and level through the. And I think if it escalates too far, then you bring in your superiors. But that's how I handle it.
Good, good. Can you tell me about a coaching goal that you set but didn't reach? And if you could elaborate on why you didn't reach it and what you learned from the experience?
A couple years ago, it was my first year at a school district, and the goal was to take my team to playoffs as a first year coach there, and we did not. That's not what happened. We did not make it to playoffs. I think why, not necessarily why we didn't reach it, but I was so focused on playoffs that I think there was some fundamentals and stuff that wasn't completely covered, and so the next year we just really focused in on skills and the fundamentals of volleyball, and we were able to go to the playoffs that next year. So just kind of focusing on what we missed that first year. So.
Okay, moving right along. Describe a time where staff members at your previous school would consider you dependable. Do you consider yourself to be a team player?
To answer your second question, yes, I do consider myself to be a team player. I'm always, I like it if I need help that people are available. And I have found in my career that if you make yourself available and are helpful to other people, then they're more willing to be helpful to you. So a time where I was dependable, several times, or I can recall last year, that I would take over another staff member's bus duty or lunch duty, just making myself available. It's kind of a team effort, teaching and coaching students, and so it's all about just being available and making sure that the students get the best teaching and coaching, and just stepping up where you can.
Good. And how have you maintained relationships with your fellow teachers and coaches? What skill do you use?
I think the skills that I use mostly is just communicating well. I think if you're communicating well, then you kind of know where you stand with everyone, even people that don't necessarily like you. Just kind of just keep business, but just are polite and kind to everyone, and just put the students first above any anything going on between staff members. I think that's kind of how you handle that.
Check. Can you tell me about a time when you had a difficult group of students to lead? What did you do to manage them?
I think in high school that's all the time. I've had several times where we've had a group of students that wanted to talk, rowdy boys, and I think you just have to take control of the room, not by being, super strict, but just having a set of guidelines that you roll by, and not getting off of that, like being understanding, but also having expectations. And I think that's the best way to handle that, groups of students like that. It's just being flexible, but also having expectations that you don't get off of. So.
Okay. Can you talk about a time when you presented a creative teaching method to your school district? Was it accepted? Did you receive any resistance?
My first year at a school, it was a smaller school, and it was not very, I guess you'd say, tech savvy. And so I suggested that we implement using iPads or laptops. And so we we purchased laptops, and those laptops could go home with the students. They could be checked out, and it just because some of the students didn't have access to that, and so it was hard for homework and just different situations, projects, right, and things like that. So there was a little bit of resistance from like older, more old school, if I can say that, of the old school teachers, but not much resistance. It went over well.
Good. So what was your greatest achievement as a leader, and what were you most proud of?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think as a leader, I feel like most of these questions I answer as a coach, but that's just how they're flowing through.
And that's okay.
I think my biggest accomplishment would be probably, it's probably going to sound funny, but it was a year we did not make it to the playoffs, but we had just personal, we met our personal goals. And I saw my athletes grow personally and, individually. And we didn't, like I said, we didn't make it to the playoffs, but they grew as people. And I think that was just a proud moment for me. So.
Absolutely. Long-term results that
Right.
will last a lifetime.
Right.
Well, thank you very much for all of your answers. Do you have any questions for me?
I do. Just 1 second. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
In your opinion, what are some of the biggest challenges that you think I'll face here at this district?
I think that one of the biggest challenges you will face is meeting the STAR test curriculum expectations. It seems like all teachers are struggling with that right now in various grades. And if you have to have a group of students who have to master their social studies test, then that will be an obstacle. I don't think that it's anything that can't be done, but I do think that it is an obstacle.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for that. What does a typical day look like for a teacher or for a coach here at this district? If there's anything typical.
That's what the first thought that came to mind was. I don't know that they are typical. You never know what to expect. With all of the different families, there are personal things going on in each and every one of their lives, and you have to be able to be agile to that and adjust and be flexible as needed. So I can't really say that there's anything typical other than you come to work and you do your job the best you can with what you have.
Sounds good. What goals or achievements do you have for the person that will be filling this position?
So back to the STAR test, I think that one of the biggest goals would be for the teachers to set really high standards for having all of the students within their class pass those exams. I think that they're really important right now, and the state is definitely looking into that.
Okay. What is your favorite part about working at this district?
My favorite part about working for a school would be the time off and the holidays that are associated with it. I enjoy my job, but I also enjoy spending time with my own family. So my profession allows me to do that. I also love
my favorite time.
that I teach. So
awesome. All right. Well, that's all I have for you, unless you have any more questions for me.
No, I think that's it. You've done a great job, and you will be hearing from us soon.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.